Wiggle. Wiggle is so sad.
'Twas the day of Christmas, and in the Kraken's lair, we're going to do a live comic book unboxing, and I hope that you care. So, what I have today is 2 live comic book unboxings from auctions that I have purchased from the We Love Comics channel from Chris. One is pretty significant. I'm excited about both of them, and I thought, as opposed to being down in the Kraken's lair, we would do a little bit of Christmas house. So there could be some dogs running around. There could be my lovely and amazing wife saying stuff. Of course, she doesn't want to be on camera. Hey, Carrie, you want to come be on camera? That's a no. So we're going to start off with this one first. But before I do, there is a very current sort of alarming issue with the CGC grading company. And I'm not going to go to it in depth, but what it sounds like is, while CGC, if you have a book that is graded from another company and send it into them, they do what they're supposed to do. Like, well, I'll say a graded book, right? So it's a PGX graded book, it's a CBCS graded book, and you want a CGC label, you send it into them. Like, even in the slab, they're like, well, we're the premier grading company, so we don't know if we endorse this other company's grade. So we're going to crack open the slab, and we're going to go through the grading process to grade the book to put our CGC label that we endorse. Whether that's a blue label, universal, qualified, restored, whatever. It seems that if people are sending in books that have been graded by CGC with a CGC label back to CGC, they are not doing that. They're just like, okay, cool, we graded it this, and so the grade remains. This has opened up the window for thieves and frauds to go, well, if I remove the label and switch it to another comic book, if I switch the comic book and what's supposed to be a Mark Jewelers is not, or this got a qualified grade because the Marvel value stamp is missing or not, and just send it in, they're not actually regrading it and looking at the book. They're going, oh, well, we gave it 8.5, it's 8.5. So people have taken advantage of this chink in the armor to do all kinds of stuff. Where, I've got this 7.0 Hulk 181. I've got this 8.0 graded Hulk 181. If I just take the label out, crack this open, send this in, now this gets a bump in grade. Or it could be overriding restoration or damage or a qualified grade, which brings into question the entire validity of their grades. Because at this point, how would you know unless you crack the book open? Because they have just passed books on through. It seems self-evident. And the least culpability is that that's what they're doing. They're like, well, even though the security seal is broken, which is sort of the point of having books graded, where it's like, if the security seal is broken, additional damage could have happened to the book because the book could be removed, so it needs to be regraded because additional damage could have happened. but they're like, well, we put our grade on it of this, and we're just going to do it again. So at that point, it just opens up the floodgates for anyone to be like, well, I want a bumpy grade. I want to avoid it being restored. I want to avoid it being qualified. I want to make money, as much money as I can. But the flaw on their part is, how is this even happening? That if the seal is broken on any book, you need to regrade that book. Doesn't matter what company put the grade on it. That's sort of the point. Now, it's a new situation. New stuff is coming to light. I don't want to go too deep in the rabbit hole on this, but I'm going to go CGC, lump of coal for you. The premier grading company. Okay. To the live unboxing. So, as I said, 2 auctions from the We Love Comics channel. I actually own a copy of this book, but the price was $39. Shipping was, 15, something like that. I thought, there wasn't a lot of action on the auction. Oh, personal information. So, sometimes I like bidding on Chris's auctions just to get the ball rolling. To be like, people like anything that he is selling a book for, he's looking at like the lowest sold on eBay and creating a little bit of profit for you in that book off the rip. Secondly, you don't have to pay taxes, unlike eBay. And you know what? I mean, eBay is really, it's so different from its inception of where it was mostly auctions. It wasn't just like comic book shops like buy it now, buy it now. You had the incentive of the eBay box. My Conan #1, I literally bought from eBay box. Didn't spend a penny on it. From eBay box. Now they're charging taxes. It sounds like they are increasing their sort of percentage from sellers. I can't attest to that because I just don't sell books on eBay. Wow. And Chris is all like this, like in a box. Haha. Free backing boards. Thank you, Chris. In a Gemini mailer. Use it, and this is very savvy for anybody sending comics. This blue painter's tape. It tapes it down, but it's really easy to remove. It's not super sticky. Free Gemini mailer. Thank you, We Love Comics. Look at this. Look at this. Wait, we'll do a count. I'm not even to the actual comic book yet. Let's do a count. Backing boards is additional protection. There's one. 2, 3. 4, 5. 6. Oh, wow. 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 backing boards around the comic book in the Gemini mailer inside the box. And also, I got free 12 backing boards. Thank you, We Love Comics. Thank you, Chris, because I can use these. Now, we're to the comic. A nice little note. Thank you as always. Have a very Merry Christmas. Sincerely, Chris at the We Love Comics. It's a nice touch. I mean, he appreciates his subscribers. He always does a subscriber shout out. He has deals available through PGX, where if you use the code We Love Comics free press, you can get a free pressing. He looks out, for the community and for people that follow his channel. So here it is. When I was in middle school, Wolverine #1. Like I said, I have a copy that I bought off the rack. But, nobody was doing any bids on his auction. I was like, man, $39, I'm down. Like, let's get this ball rolling. As noted in the auction, the centerfold is detached. He's got a note on the back. He's not trying to take advantage of anybody. But I really want to have a look at that to see if anything could be done about that. Other than that, I mean, the bag's got a little bit of wear right here. I can feel it, so that's not actually the comic, but the edges are really nice. The color is really nice, and one thing that Chris points out a lot is if you have multiple copies of the same book, if you have to sell one, you still own it. So it's not as emotionally wrenching of like, oh no, I just let go of this book I really love and now I don't own it. So that was sort of my thought with this, is that, hey man, I got a backup. If I would sell this one or the other one I own, I would still own it. So that's awesome. And beyond the 12 free backing boards, it looks like Chris threw in a bonus comic. He's known to do stuff like that. Don't know the significance of this. I mean, it doesn't really matter, The Punisher 2099 number 15 direct edition. Cool. A free little comic book read, courtesy of Chris at the We Love Comics. That's awesome. Thank you. Now, I know what's in this. This is a Grail book for me. It's one of those things I did not know if I would ever own. Don't ever want to say never. You don't want to eliminate the possibility. And Chris had actually had an auction somewhere in the middle of the pandemic, right? And listed this book, and it was a little bit out of my price range. The funny thing is he had been giving advice about like picking up this book for years and years, and I was like one, I love the character. I own a lot of the other following issues, and so like I was really motivated about owning this, but it always just seemed like a little bit higher than I wanted to spend, and there was something else on my radar, like, oh well, instead of buying this, I'll buy this, and then I saw the price of this book go up, and repeat of the same story where, well, maybe I need to get this now. Well, it just seems a little bit higher than I want to pay, and so instead of buying this now, I'll buy this, and just watched it go up and go up, and then it got really stupid, as a lot of collectibles did during the pandemic, and I was like, oh, that window is gone, because I don't have infinite resources, and there's only so much I'm willing to spend on a comic book, practically. I mean, like even someone's like, oh man, here's Action Comics #1 for $100,000. That's a steal. Well, you know what? I can't cobble together $100,000, so even though that's a steal, it just ain't gonna happen, right? Um, I'm not gonna like mortgage my home and my life and the other goals that my wife and I have to own a comic book. So there's some things I was like, well, maybe I gotta let those go. At the recent auction, Chris brought this back out, and there was some other books I was really interested in. So I was talking to my lovely, amazing wife, and I was like, "Hey, man, this book is this. This book is this. They're really good prices, like bundle deal." And she's like, "Well, at this point, you're at $1,200. Why don't you get the Grail comic?" And I'm like, "Yes, I like the way you think. This is why I married you." So this was $1,600. Excuse me, $1,600. Did I say that right? Um, I didn't have to pay tax, and Chris does a 4-month payment plan. So I was able to send in $400 at the end of the auction, and I sent in the next 3 months, like 400, 400, 400. And now I own it. Like, I didn't have $1,600 just to go, boom, here's his book. I didn't have to pay interest on, say, using a credit card to go $1,600, boom. He's kind enough to offer that because it benefits people like me who love comics, who thought maybe they would never have this. So let's open it, because I'm really, really excited about this. And you can see my lovely and amazing wife wrap this up. Oh. So for her wrapping job, like on the label, she's like, "To my honey, for all your hard work." Because at my job, I did qualify for a quarterly bonus. And so we were able to use some of that money to pay for this. We were able to use some of that money to do some car repairs on our vehicle. Okay, no personal information. You'll see, fragile, do not crush. Please handle with care. Like, bomb proof. Wow. It's times like this where it's so bomb proof, I'm like, well, where do I start? And I would, begin this process off camera, but there's a lot of detractors to Chris and his channel that I don't want to be. I don't want anybody to watch one of my videos and be like, "Oh man, like, you see, this is why, blah, blah, blah." Whatever negative crap they have to say about Chris, because I frankly don't understand it. I bought major key issues from him over years. And I've never been disappointed. There's never been any misrepresentation. Once again, he tries to make it easy for people that love comics to get some, like, all kinds of bubble wrap. It is Christmas Day, people. But yeah, so I do the live unboxings. So if anybody has heard any, like, sort of like negative about him or his channel, it's like, this is my experience, and you're witnessing it with me. You're going through it with me. There's clearly no clever computer editing or cut screen and different book. I mean, you're going through this with me, and I like to take the time to do this as a thank you to him. So maybe his next auction where someone's like, "Wow, that $2,000 book maybe I'm nervous about it, but he'll actually do the payment plan, or he'll actually not charge me tax. He'll actually clearly package it. No, my dog is over here having fun with the bubble wrap. And if that gives you confidence to where you can add a key book to your collection, it benefits you, it benefits Chris, it benefits the community, it benefits We Love Comics, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Now, once again, off the rip, there's a number of just bonus comics thrown in here. So we'll do those first. I mean, and honestly, it doesn't matter if the value of the bonus comics is $1. It's still like, well, that's $1, off what I paid for what I was purchasing. This actually has both of them $8 price tag. Maximum Security, the Uncanny X-Men, number 387. On the back, Uncanny X-Men 388, Dreams End, Part 1 of 4. I love X-Men. Who doesn't love the X-Men? Uncanny X-Men 385, Direct Edition, also had a price tag at $8. On the back, Uncanny X-Men, the comic that inspired X-Men the movie. That kind of dates this. 386. So there's 4 bonus comics, and whether they're just good reads or whether they're worth $2 a piece, he does not have to do this. It wasn't like, buy this comic and you get these bonus comics. Nope. He just does this because he's an awesome, good person. So that's a lot of backing boards, bunch of free comics. Wolverine, numero uno. And I can't tell you guys how many years I've wanted this. I mean, it was like literally I might not ever own it. In preparation for this video, because this is a number 1 issue, I own number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At number 7, his costume changes, if that clues you guys in. My comic collection is not really that organized, and I couldn't find my issue number 2, because I was going to go like, blam, here's number 1, here's number 2, and it's Christmas Day, and my wife was trying to help me find it, and I was getting like really frustrated, and I was like, that's not what this is about, that's not what this day is about. So when I find my issue number 2, I will do the comic book run. What we have here, Daredevil number 1. I can't even believe I'm holding this. And thankfully, it's PGX graded, so I don't have to worry if somebody cracked this up. Sorry, that was mean-spirited of me. And as, well, an idea that Chris gave to Daniel Patterson, the CEO of PGX, is there's actually grader's notes on the back, which tells you why this got this grade of the 1.5. Now, I know there's, comic book people out there that were, and more power to you. Like, if all your books have got to be a 9 or higher, or a 9.6 or higher, and you can afford those books, and that's what like really makes you happy, like, great, man, do it, continue to do it. I'm gonna say like a 9.0 of Daredevil #1 has got to be $20,000, close to that, maybe more. A 9.6 if one exists. You know, that exceeds the bank here at the Kraken's Lair. Honestly, I have looked at so many copies of this issue. I mean, you know, it's a 1/5. I mean, it's got stress lines. It's got Marvel chipping. The biggest thing is on this back cover here. There's that portion. The grader called it 1/4. I mean, that's not 1/4, but subjective. I don't even care. I mean, if this was a 0.5, I am so happy to own it. The only issue of Daredevil in his yellow banana suit that I am missing is the crossover in Amazing Spider-Man 16. I know some people are not fans of this. I kind of like it. I mean, to me, it's like retro. I mean, like yellow and red is flame. You know, you're Daredevil. I always kind of liked it as opposed to the all red, which seemed a little bit, you know, obvious. I'm just so pleased to own this. Creamed off-white pages. It's these moments where I start like gushing over my comic books. I was like, well, I probably should like bring this to an end. So, thank you, Chris. Thank you, We Love Comics. Thank you, the We Love Comics auctions. Daredevil #1. When I can locate my Daredevil #2, I will do, you know, the run and show them all in better lighting than Christmas House. You know, really like let you guys get a good look at this book. I know some people would maybe not buy a 1.5. That's cool. You know, there's things as collectors we can handle and things that we can't. And for every collector, those things are different. Knowing the legs that Daredevil has, the rumors of potential plans for that character, I was like, I have to do this now. You know, before even a 0.5 is like a $3,000 or $4,000 book, I have to do this now. And I did. And with the help of my lovely and amazing wife, it's Merry Christmas to Dan, the Kraken Man, at the Kraken's Lair Comics. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And I think she's going to hit the off button.